Hello and welcome along to the final instalment of this FM21 Journeyman story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's part 133 and following a sacking of first of our career at the end of the last episode. Our first international job ended in disaster and it ends our career on a bit of a sour note. But what we're going to do today is reflect on all of the positives. We're going to look back at all of our jobs in what was a glittering and probably the most meteoric rise of a club career we've ever had. We'll look at all of our former clubs, see how they've got on since we've left, and we'll have a look at some of our start and key players along the way as well. There's a few that have been requested down in the comments in recent days. We'll have a look at those too. So if you're looking forward to it and you have enjoyed this year's head coach story, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. I'm aware that so many of you found this channel for the first time via this year's head coach, particularly our early stints with Brechin, and I really can't thank you enough for your support with it. We're going to have an FM22 edition, which should be bigger and better than ever before. I doubt we'll end up starting in Scotland again, but it's certainly going to be an interesting ride. What that does mean as a quick service announcement is our Build a Nation with Brechin City from tomorrow will be changing to every weekday, so up to 5 episodes a week there. We will have the odd one at the weekend, but next weekend is the start of the football season. We're going to have loads of Twitch-based stuff. We're going to have football watch-alongs all the time. So we're going to take one weekend off, and then we're going to have some weekend specials as well. So please do subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on to stay up to date with all the existing and new series. But let's crack on, shall we? Let's have a look at all of our clubs and how we've got on in our brilliant career. It's easy to remember the bad time at the end, sacked as manager of England, but prior to that, we have had one hell of a spell. So let's have a look at ourselves. We finish with exceptional attributes in some areas, particularly on the man management side. Discipline, motivation, man management, mentality coaching, player knowledge, all exceptional. We've got a 4.5-star reputation. We've got a Continental Pro licence. Look at our career status, 690 games managed. We've won over 400 of them. Yes, we've lost 150, but we've done pretty well. A win percentage in the end of 60%. Our last 4 jobs certainly helped that. Nearly 1,500 goals, just over 2 a game on average, and just over a goal a game conceded. And our goal difference nearly matches the number of games. That's how good it's been. So a really brilliant career for us. Let's go and have a look at all of the clubs we've managed. If we have a look at our overview very quickly, our highest fee ever received was a player who played in our final game, Ant Folwell, probably the disappointment of our England World Cup. He was sold from our Southampton team by our director of football for £71 million. The highest fee spent was Gerard Arbroath, the goalkeeper from Haiti when we were at Juventus. He came in for £88 million. Players spent just over £1 billion. Players sold just under such. And to be honest, from starting at Brechin, those humble beginnings, some of those fees are absolutely mind-boggling. Our highest nationality ranking in the Hall of Fame is 4. We did make it further up the ladder in the end. And in 14 years, we've managed 10 club jobs, 1 international job. We've spent 3 years almost at one club, just under half a year at another. And we've earned nearly £50 million. It certainly hasn't been too bad, has it? Plenty of time on holiday in the last year, you can see. It's changed from 1 day to 291, thanks to the England job and all of the club football in between. But let's go and have a look at our job history, because it's a littering career, isn't it? Let's be brutally honest. Loads of personal awards, and more importantly, loads of competition wins. The 2nd season, we won Scottish League 2 with Brechin. The 4th season, that Scottish Cup win with Dundee, possibly one of the greatest moments of any of our head coach saves. At Tottenham, we got that Premier League the first full season. It was a ridiculous achievement. Manchester United handing it us with a mistake in the 94th minute on the final day. Then a treble the next season, winning everything but the Premier League, which we didn't retain. A double at Real Madrid, which ended up being a disappointment. We were 8 points clear in the Liga with 9 to play for, and we somehow managed to throw it away. Bounced back against Juventus with a treble, including a European Super Cup, but threw it away in the Italian Cup with a 3-0 aggregate lead against AC Milan, and lost 5-1 away from home. And then against Rangers, we finished on the ultimate high. We came back to Scotland, we won the balloon, and we took Celtic off their perch. 20 titles in 21 years for Celtic, and we changed the game. Brilliant, brilliant way to end our club career. Just a shame it didn't work out with England. But let's start with Brechin City. Of course, we've got very fond memories there, but they have had a few really disappointing years. Floating around in the bottom half of Scottish League 2. We took them up in the 2nd season. There it was. They were a bit of a yo-yo club after that for a few years, but then just dropped and dropped and dropped. It's such a shame. None of the players that we had will still be there now. But there's two players I want to look for to see if they're still playing, and that's the strikers. James Rose was the centre forward, wasn't he? So let's have a look for him. He is not there, but then let's have a look for Mark Malley. They were the two-star centre forwards. And don't forget the first season, the first half a year, it was Leroy Macavora who was a superstar. I retired at 23, Malley. That's such a shame. Shall we have a look at Leroy Macavora, see if he's still going? No, not at all. But legends of the Brechin side, of course there was one name that made this head coach career so special. Pat Nevin became our director of football at this club. And he was sensational. And he's still there. He's still there after 14 years. Oh, almost brings a tear to my eye, that. 16 years later, at the age of 70. Pat Nevin, what a legend. Still the director of football at Brechin City. And we owe so much of our career growth to that man. He did so well for us. He brought us so many solid players in. And he's probably the best director of football we've ever had at a semi-professional club. Pat Nevin, you will forever go down as a head coach and a channel legend. Let's move on to the next club though. Of course, after Brechin City, we had a very brief stint at Arbroath. We left them top of the league by 14 points after a brilliant start to the season. Had the opposite effect with a director of football though. Left with only 14 players, and thankfully we didn't really get any injuries. None of those players, I don't think, are still there. I don't recognise any of the names anyway. And we didn't really have long enough to acquaint ourselves with any legends here. We did have a good side and we did alright. But it was more a brief stop-off in our career. You can see for the last 3 years they had got themselves back up to the Scottish Championship. But they did unfortunately fall back down at the end of last season. So Arbroath back exactly where we left them, fighting for promotion in Scottish League One. Dundee was where it all really kicked off. A Scottish Cup final that I will never ever forget. A winning goal, episode 25 or 26, that will forever be in the memory. It was one of my favourite ever days. But look, Dundee are not in the Scottish Premiership here. What on earth has happened? We left them in a brilliant place. They were in Europe, they were fighting hard. And you can see it was only last season they finished third. But then this year just gone, they dropped down to 12th place and finished bottom of the league. And that was the year after we left Rangers. When we came to Rangers, they were fighting up at the top end of the league. I've no idea what's happened there. Any of the originals still there? Josh Mulligan is a brilliant young player, or was, not really developed so much there. I'm just looking across the rest of them. There's none of the others which I recognise. Archie Brown we managed later on in our career. That was at Derby County. But that's such a disappointment. What a way for them to end. We did have one young player here though called Josh Archibald, who I'm intrigued to see how he's getting on. He's at Blackburn now, playing in the EFL, and he's been a really good player. 3.8 million transfer fee 4 years ago, and played nearly 100 games for them. That's really impressive. He was a proper good youngster. So that's Dundee covered, a disappointing end for them. But the next club in Scotland was Hibernian. We left to go to Hibs. They were a brilliant side. Are any of those originals still there? Of course, Gunnarsson was a year ago. He still is now, as is Josh Doig, two of the superstars of the club. How did they finish the season though? Third place last year. Of course, fourth the year before when we were with Rangers. Second the year before that. They are one of the best clubs in Scottish football and they are consistently fighting near the top. So our stint in Scotland originally, it gave us so much. It's a path we've not had in a head coach before, but is one that treated us really well. It led to a meteoric rise through Scottish football, and it led us to a pretty cushy job in England. We went to Derby County, fighting relegation early on in the season, but we got a very good side at a very good time. January improvements helped out, and we went flying up to 6th place. Max Bird is still the skipper there. They've had their stint in the Premier League. They're now pretty much consistent playoff performers in the Championship without ever really threatening to go up. Max Bird, superstar. We absolutely loved him. Are there any other players there that we had in our spell? I don't think there are, unfortunately. The one I really want to look at is Jacob Hall. And I'd quite like to see Morgan Whittaker as well and Callum Morton, because that front three did an awful lot for us. So Hall is now at Wolves. He was on the cusp of the England squad at one point, but didn't quite make it. Callum Morton is a free agent at 34. What a career he had with us. Has played for various clubs since. And then the other one, Morgan Whittaker. course, a player in real life they sold on. Let's see how he's getting on. So he's 33 now. He's playing in Switzerland, but he's still a very good player and still scoring goals and looking good physically. So Morgan Whittaker gone on to have a good career. Jakob Holt still a superstar. Brilliant club though. And we left them top of the championship because there was a job offer that was too good to refuse. And that was Southampton. They're back in the Europa League. I'm not sure how they've done it. So they've been top 7 all of the last 3 years. We left them, of course, on that season in 5th place, where we just missed out on the Champions League. Their key player is Baratinha. Been there for years after he was brought to the club during our spell. If we go and have a look at the players as well, there are still a few of those superstars there. And amazingly, a player that we had at our following club, Spurs, Franco Espinosa, is now a left winger there. I mean, he scored in Champions League semi-finals for us, didn't he? Also there, Ian Gilligan. We gave him his England debut, but he had a massive injury just after. That anyone else I recognise? Adam Brown still in the squad. Become a really solid left back as well. But let's have a look at a few of the others, because Saravakos threatened to become one of the best players in the world. Let's have a look at him. Now at Manchester United and possibly the best centre-half in the world. But the other one, which one of you guys requested in the comments, was Stephen Hilton. Now, he was that 15-year-old Colombian that a pre-agreed deal was made for, but then we left the club before he came in at the age of 18, because it was pre-agreed 2.5 years in advance. You can see there he's playing for PSG, so I'm guessing he's a pretty big star. He is. He's only 23 now, but he's a very good player. Made 137 appearances for Southampton in the end, and joined PSG on a free transfer this summer. Oh, what a loss for Southampton for nothing. What a player he is, though. He became the player we expected. He is an absolute superstar. So well done, Southampton. They're a brilliant team, and they've made their way back up, which we're proud of. Tottenham Hotspur was our next club, and probably our most successful stint of our career. Giovanni Reina still the skipper. He was involved in our last game as well, that one with England. Loic Willems, the vice skipper, probably the best goalkeeper in the world, absolutely sublime. And Federico Perea still the key player. Him and Dave Klassen at Real Madrid, the 2 best strikers we've ever had. And Perea, he didn't often play that well for us, it's got to be said. But he scored goals. He popped up at the crucial time every time. We provided Spurs with the only Premier League title win. Since then, they've fluttered between 5th place and 3rd place. But they're never going to replicate what we did for them. They've still got a huge core of that side. Aaron Smith, Patrick Southam, Joel Santos is still there. Montalvo is still there. They've got Louis Junior at centre-half, who we had at Southampton. The Mozambique international, now a world-class player. Loic Willems we saw, Ryan Wright, Semi Yildiz. I mean, it's basically the same squad. Thomas Park's down there as a squad player too. Alexandru Anache, I remember him, the Romanian youngster. Maybe not come on quite as much as we expected. But genuinely, a brilliant stint. I almost wish I'd stayed a bit longer and just tried to create a dynasty at Tottenham. Because it's easy to say that after the Real Madrid move didn't really work out. But that Tottenham spell, I feel we could have had dominance in some cups, even if not the Premier League. On to Real Madrid, our next club though. Dave Klassen is still the star player there. And to be fair to them, they haven't won the league either of the last 2 seasons. They did win it the year after we left, but then they've had 2 more poor years. So, their star players, Cobanan the skipper, still the first man. Matthew Laus, still sensational. Dave Klassen, what a player. Legendary striker, scored goals galore for us. And we almost failed him by not letting him win a league title. Samu Zamorano came through in the youth intake the year we were there. He is now on the cusp of brilliance. He's a wonder kid at 20 years of age. He's changed his allegiance from Italy to Spain. And he's going to be a super player. Probably a natural replacement for Klassen as well. Many more of those stars still there too. They've lost Cesar Fernandez by the looks of things. But Jose Del Rio Fernandez is still very much at the club. And at 27, he's very good. Evangelista, one of the best centre-halves in the world. Absolutely brilliant. Peter Alkin came in goal. Molina was a good youngster. He was a wonder kid at the time. And look who else they've signed in the middle. Cohen Major, who we had at Southampton. Become a superstar midfielder and is now a Real Madrid regular. So let's just go and have a look at Cesar Fernandez to see where he's gone to. Because he was a really good player. He's gone to Chelsea. World-class attacking mid and back in the Premier League. Scored at 1 in 2 for Real Madrid and is doing the same at Chelsea. Not bad for a midfield at all. Let's move on to Juventus, the penultimate club of our career. They had first place there, second place, then first place again. Very bizarre. They didn't win the league the first year after we left. De Ligt's still there as skipper at 34 now. Sana Balde's the star man. He was brilliant for us. Wonderful number 10 in his peak now. But let's have a look at who else is still left there. Bongiorni, I'm interested to see how he's developed. Not got the best scoring record. So he had a pretty good year when we were there. That one, 16 in 34. 11 the year after, that's 17 last year. So maybe he's just finding the peak of his powers now. Rui Simois is a superstar. They've signed Alan Nana, who terrorised us with Cameroon in the World Cup for England. Mark Back was an absolutely sensational player when he could stay fit. And they've still got a few of the other youngsters. Unavar, Ristovajevic, Shet Roma, Valentin Popov, really good player for Bulgaria. And Julio Cesar, the left back, who had a lot of promise but never really developed. Let's have a look at Arbroath, the biggest signing at any club we've been at from the head coach. The director of football paid 88 million. To be fair, it's been a pretty good investment so far. And that leads us on to Rangers. Massive turnover of players the year after we left, by the way. If we go and have a look at them, they sold loads of the players and signed plenty more as well. But Hadji left on loan, Martins left on loan, Bondozo left on loan, Francesco permanently, Masson permanently, Fevrier, Bartholomew. I mean, it was just an overhaul completely. I wonder which one of these was their regular new goalkeeper. That's the thing I'm really looking out for, to be honest. I'm just seeing which one came in. So it was a Chinese international. Pretty good in fairness. Not a bad signing at all for 3 million quid. But if we have a look at the Rangers squad, most of it still the one we've been used to seeing over the years. Of course, a few additions, but generally, I think we have to say the star of the show was Damien Martinez. The player when we joined the club that we thought, really, he's the dispensable one. It doesn't matter because he was wanted by other clubs if the director of football gets him in to solve the financial problems. But he stayed, he proved his worth, he fought his way into the first 11, and by the end of it, he was the first name on the team sheet and the star performer every week. I owe him so much credit. João Batista was not far off that. He scored a couple of absolute screamers. The one game where he came off the bench against Celtic in a 6-0 win, rattled a third into the top corner. Morten Gertsen, again, very injury prone, but my word, when he was fit, he was something else. Fitting that he's injured again now when we're looking. And Kieran Henderson had to step up when Finn Malcolm was scored early on. A player we were excited to work with. In the end, it didn't work out that way, but Henderson stepped up. He scored big goals. 30 in 33 games the season we were with him. Only scored 15 last year, and we got his best season out of him. It was absolutely fantastic, and it was a match made in heaven. So those are the clubs we manage. I just want to see, yeah, Rangers did win the league again last year, so they're back-to-back holders now. We might have changed Scottish football for good there. Let me very quickly, before we go, just show you the English football pyramid, because a lot of people complain if I don't do this. So let me show you the Premier League. The last 5 years, won by a few different clubs. So since our Tottenham team did it, United, that was our second year at Spurs, but then Chelsea, United, Liverpool, Chelsea. So a bit of a comeback for the Londoners there. Let's go and have a look at the Championship. In fact, were there any surprise teams? Cardiff slightly, Brentford in real life have gone up, so no. In a Championship, we have got lots of former Premier League clubs winning it. No massive shocks at that level, I wouldn't say. No teams that have moved about 2 or 3 leagues or anything like that. So nothing massive there. Into League One, my club Luton Town, back down after a couple of promotions. Reading and Forest recently down, having to recover. Again, Wrexham up 2 divisions. Not many massive changes though, I wouldn't say, other than 1 division here or there. So again, I don't think any massive shocks in League One. League Two, Wrexham won it last time, so that's how they got up to the League One. York are in there, they were starting the National League North, of course. Wigan, Plymouth come down. Not many massive shocks though. Again, only 1 division here or there. Ebbsfleet, Chesterfield, who are on the decline after a brilliant start to the save. Chester again from the National League North up 2 divisions. And Bolton stuck in League 2 again as well. AFC Telford, another one from the National League North. So certainly getting very northern heavy, that League 2 table. Into the National League, Newport back up last season. Blythe Spartans, Billericay, a few new teams in and about there. Northampton from League 1, a couple of relegations for them. And I think that's probably about it. Tranmere may be a bit of a surprise too. few bigger clubs down there. Oldham, former Premier League team too. On to the North and South, just to finish off. Cheltenham won it last year. What were they doing down in the North? Couple of relegations for them. Don't see any other big ones about. And then into the South, the final league. Are there any big shocks? I don't think so. The worst I can see are teams like Yeovil, who started in the National League, and Torquay. I don't think there's any massive ones. So let me know if I've made any glaring omissions there. Let me know what you thought of our career. How have you found seeing the meteoric rise on the club side of things? Finishing on a sacking, of course, at international level. But in truth, this has probably been our most memorable head coach ever. Growing through Scotland has been one of the best things to ever happen for us, both in the game and outside of it as well. We've also had some great spells in England. I just wish now, looking back at it, that I'd stayed at Tottenham one more year and just tried to back it up and win something else. But if we'd won that league with Real Madrid from 8 points clear, I possibly wouldn't be saying that. I am aware. A brilliant career though, a perfect way to end. We now focus on our Build a Nation with Brechin City. That will go every weekday next week at 3:30. 5 episodes a week as a minimum. Turn that notification bell on and subscribe to stay up to date with those. Please do chuck a thumbs up on the video if you've enjoyed the head coach series. Of course, it will be back next year. We're only a couple of months away now, aren't we, from FM22. And keep your eyes peeled on the channel for some weekend specials too. Experiments, mini-series, a few other bits as well. Got plenty to look forward to between now and the new game. In the meantime, please do follow us on Twitch as well. The link to that is in the eye above. From tomorrow, we'll be starting our watch-along football live streams for the 21-22 season. A minimum of 10 games a month. We're going to watch all sorts of different levels, competitions, and different teams too. So do come and hang out and have a bit of a chat with us. But a massive thank you for watching, for supporting for the year. I've absolutely loved it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Back for Brechin City tomorrow.